So today is Monday, November 11th, and I'm going to be backtesting the cumulative delta indicator that's made by Zyerman from the Zyerman Group. I'm going to be backtesting my rules and my concepts that I wrote in the cumulative delta playbook. I'll put a link for the playbook in the description of this video, and I'm going to be backtesting the New York session from 7 a.m. Central Time to 3 p.m. Central Time. So here we are in replay mode. I have the candle set to the 7 a.m. candle, that's Central Time. This is the 1 minute chart on the left. This is my main chart for my entries and exits. On the top right is the hourly cumulative delta. The middle is the 15, and the bottom is the 5 minute. So on the hourly, we are in an uptrend. On the 15 minute, we are also in an uptrend, and on the 5 minute, we are also in an impulsive move to the upside here. However, I'm not really going to be looking at the higher time frames. I'm just going to be focusing on the 1 minute and the 1 minute signals. So I'm going to start stepping through until I see a signal for a long or a short. And right now, the delta crossed under the confirmation line, so I'm actually looking for a short next. And there's our short signal. Stop's going to go on the swing high. And I'm going to go ahead and exit here on this higher low on the signal. That's the green triangle. That is 24.5 points on that first trade. And I'm going to go ahead and take a long right here. Stop goes under the wick. And it ticked down while we're underwater, so I'm going to go ahead and exit for a small loss. Now this move right here, that satisfies a requirement for an impulsive breakout move to the downside. So we're going to enter short there. And again, we're going to pull the plug on this one because it ticked up while we're underwater there. I'm still looking for shorts because the delta is under the confirmation line. It's ticking down from the red zone. And we end up getting stopped out here. And we're ticking down from the power zone. That is a short signal. And I'm holding this until I get a long signal, which I don't have yet. The delta is getting really fat, which means that the sellers are overpowering the buyers. Here, let's get caught up here. I'm gonna start moving this down. This trade's looking really nice. But there's still no buy signal. Now the confirmation line is getting really close to the delta, so I'm going to start looking for longs here pretty soon. I want to see the signal tick up above the delta. We get one right there, so I'm going to exit. Let's go ahead and exit right there on this green, tick up above the delta. And this trade was 133.75 points with a 23 risk to reward ratio. I mean 1 to 23. Actually, it was 1 to 23.26 on that one. And I'm going to go ahead and flip long right there. Now the delta is above the confirmation line, so at this point I'm just looking for longs. Unless I have a really weak delta and I get a lower high, then I'll short that. There's a lower high. The delta is tapering. So I'm going to go ahead and exit this for a small win and flip short. And we would have exited right here for a small loss because it ticked up against us while we were underwater. So I'm still looking for a long entry. We did get a higher low right here. However, I did not take that because it's in the red zone, and I'm looking for a long entry in the green zone down here. And there we go. We got our tick up from the green zone, so I'm going to go long here. And the delta is tapering down, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the plug for a small win on this one. Still looking for a long in the green zone. Going to go ahead and go long on this tick up right here. This delta is really thin, so I'm going to keep a short leash on this one. I'll get out on this tick down here for a small loss. Sellers are starting to overpower the buyers. That delta is getting thick there. However, it is tapering down and we're ticking up near the lower power zone, so I'm going to go long. Ended up stopping out there. Now we ticked up from the power zone here, so I'm going to go long again. And we have another small loss. Now the delta is alternating from negative to positive, which means that we are chopping. And if you're curious about that, all of that is detailed out in the playbook. We actually have some chop back here too. Go ahead and mark those out. Oops. But we are getting a higher low, so I'm going to go ahead and go long there. Since the delta is turning positive and we are still near that lower power zone. But we have to be careful here during chop, because that is how you can rack up the small losses and lose a lot of money pretty fast. I'm going to go ahead and pull the plug here for another small loss because we're chopping. You can see all of this here is all chop. It's positive, negative, but anytime you have those thin, spotty deltas, that means stay away. So we're going to stay away for now until we see a bigger move kind of reset things. We do have this negative slope on the delta, so the bears are definitely more in control, and the delta is also underneath the confirmation line, which also favors the bears. So technically, this tick down right here is actually a valid short signal. So if we wanted to be risky, we could have taken that right there. Here we'll take a late signal here on this one. And my exit strategy right now is going to be a long signal, which I don't have yet. And I'm going to pretend that I move my stop to break even. Getting a tick down from the red zone. So that is a short signal. So I'm going to stay in. Still don't have a valid long setup. Still in on this one. Okay. There we go. We got a tick up above the delta right here, and that is our delta squeeze. So I'm going to flip long there. My exit strategy is a tick down from that upper power zone. I'm going to go ahead and pull it right here. And I'm going to flip. No, I'm not going to flip short. Just going to exit. I'm not going to flip short because the delta is still pretty, it's not really tapering. If it was tapering, I would flip short. It's tapering on this next candle, but we'll stay out for now. This is our first lower high from the power zone, so technically you could have gone short right here. And that is an exit signal, tick up from the green zone with a positive delta. I'm actually going to go ahead and flip long there. And we get stopped out. I'm going to pass on that one. It's not quite in the power zone. This one is in the power zone, but the delta is crossing under the confirmation line, so I'm not going to go long there. That's pretty bearish when that occurs. But now we're getting, well, nah, still pretty bearish. I'm going to wait for a higher low. Okay. So now we have a positive slope on the delta. We do have a higher low on the signal, but it is in the red zone. We can go long here, but it's a little more risky. I'm going to give it a shot. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the plug on there. Actually, I should have pulled the plug on this first tick down against me right there, which would have been a break even. That was the real signal. And we're back to chopping. The cumulative delta indicator is excellent for telling you when things are chopping. Okay, so we got a lower high with a weak delta, even though we're chopping. So that is, right here is technically a short. Now anytime you're chopping, any trades are actually more risky, so I'm just going to stay out. Okay, now we're starting to get more of a normal delta coming back in. And here we're actually gaining some strength on the delta, and we're ticking up above it. However, I don't like taking signals in the power zone, so I'm going to stay out of that one. And we are ticking down with the tapering delta in the power zone, so I'm going to go short. And we would have got stopped out there if we held it. I wasn't paying attention to this tick up. This is where we should have got out on that tick up right there. That would have been right here, and that would have been a small win. Okay, and it is, looks like it's 2:34, so we only have a little bit more to go here. The delta is tapering here. We do have a higher low. So I'm going to go ahead and go long here. Put the stop under the swing low. And we're ticking down from the power zone, so that's going to be a small loss right here. Exit on the close of that candle. And what time is it now? Looks like it's 3 o'clock, so I'm just going to call it here. And now I will go back and tally up all the trades.